This program is suitable for most people. However, it should not replace a supervised exercise program. Please consult your local doctor before commencing an exercise program, especially if you have one or more of the following: have had joint surgery, any medical condition affecting your heart, lungs or blood pressure, joint inflammation, you have not been doing regular exercise. Stop exercising immediately if you experience one or more of the following: chest pain, shortness of breath, nausea, dizziness, numbness or tingling in the arms or legs, severe pain or discomfort in your joints. The producers and distributors disclaim any liability or loss, personal or otherwise, resulting from procedures in this program.
Welcome to Move It or Lose It. My name's Stephanie. I teach yoga and meditation. Today's class will be a gentle yoga class. It's suitable for all ability levels and all ages as well. The first pose that we'll be doing is called mountain pose. Really simple. Think about standing tall and strong like a mountain. We'll come onto our yoga mats. Stand with your feet directly underneath both of your legs, so hip distance apart is what we're aiming for. Really ground your feet. Take a moment to spread your toes out, press them into the mat underneath you. Feel the rest of your body really reaching tall and lengthening as your feet are pressing into the ground underneath you. Take a moment here. We'll take a few breaths just to ground ourselves and to center ourselves. I want you to think also about the placement of your weight. It's important that your weight is even across your feet. So sometimes we tend to place all of the weight on our heels. Let's think about the front half or top half of your foot as well, and pressing down evenly into the mat underneath you. Reaching tall, let your shoulders drop down, lift your chest. We'll stay here for a few more breaths. Just allowing the breath to flow through the body really comfortably. We'll get ready to move on to the next pose now, which is called shoulder rolls. We'll do it all together a few times. So to begin this, we want to breathe in, bring your shoulders forward, take them all the way up. As you breathe out, the shoulders are coming back and then down. So really moving as you're breathing. Breathing in, they come forward and up. Breathing out, all the way backwards and down. We'll keep going like this for a little while. Breathing in, again, breathing out. Keep going in your own time. As you do, bring your shoulders back, really bring the shoulder blades together behind you and then lower. Now it's perfectly fine if you hear a bit of creaking as you're doing this, very normal. It's usually just the tendons and some of the tension getting worked out. Most of us carry tension in our shoulders, so that's very normal as well. This is a great way to alleviate and to manage some of that tension. Keep your breathing smooth and steady and continue on. Shoulder rolls are something that you can really do every day. If you wake up every morning, do a few shoulder rolls, you'll notice quite a substantial difference in your shoulders and the tension there quite quickly. Okay, we'll make that the last one. Shake out your shoulders just a little, and we'll get ready to move on to the next pose that we're doing. We'll stick with the shoulders and help them with the mobility a little bit more. So breathing in, bring your arms out to the sides. You want your hands to be roughly level with your shoulders. We're going to keep the palms facing downwards to start with. When you're ready, take a breath in, bring the palms to face upwards. And then we're going to twist them back down again to face backwards. We'll keep doing this, but I want your focus to not be so much in the hands, but more actually in the top of the shoulders. So the focal point here is the top of the arm bone, humerus, inside the socket. So really twisting there. Just breathing comfortably. Whatever works for you with the breath is totally fine. Nice and slow, all the way through the range of motion. Okay, we'll get ready to drop down there. Shake your arms out just a little, and we'll do a slightly different version of that. So this time, breathe in, bring your arms up in front of you, directly in front. And same thing again, so twisting the palms up, and then down and around. So again, think about the movement of the arm inside the socket. Really draw your arms into the sockets. Feel that twisting. Breathing nice and easy as you focus on the movement. Okay, let's drop those arms down again. Shake the shoulders out a little bit. You might feel a little bit of pins and needles in the fingers. Very normal. Just give them a shake and not to worry. We're going to take a brief break and we'll come back and continue the session in a few moments. Welcome back to Move It or Lose It. The next pose that we'll be doing in this session is hip rotations. So we'll bring the feet to hip distance apart, or a little bit wider is also fine. Make sure you feel nice and balanced, nice and centered. So we'll bring the hands onto the hips, and we're going to be doing big, long, round circles. So as you breathe, take the hips all the way out to the side, to the front, and all the way round. So big circles. Great to get some mobility into the hips, into the lower back as well. Again, similarly as with the shoulder rolls, you might hear a bit of creaking. Totally fine, nothing to worry about. Really get your hips moving. Again, the biggest rotation that you can comfortably without bending too much. Allow the hips to really move. And just moving through the whole range of motion. We'll come back to the center and we'll go in the opposite direction as well. You might find that one direction is significantly easier than another direction. That happens frequently. It means you need to stretch more, whichever side's harder. Really let the hips move. You might be feeling that mostly in the lower back or mostly in the hips or the groin. Listen into the body and how it feels as you're moving. A little bit longer on this side, just so that we're even with both sides. And then gradually we'll come back to slightly smaller circles and stopping there in the middle. The next pose we'll do is called chair pose. So bring your feet so that they're just underneath the hips, nice and straight. This is a slightly more challenging pose, so it's important that you really listen to your body. If you feel that you need to ease off, please do that, and don't press yourself outside of what's comfortable. So as you breathe in, we're going to lift the arms up to parallel with the shoulders. As you're breathing out, take the hips out behind you and sit down, almost as if you're going to sit on a chair, and then pausing right there. Make sure that your knees are parallel with your feet. Sometimes they might want to drop inwards or outwards. Take a few moments to really look at your alignment here to make sure everything's exactly where it's supposed to be. You'll feel this in your calves, particularly in your back as well, all stretching. Important that you tuck your tailbone under. We don't want any over stretching in the lower back area. You really shouldn't feel any strain there. If you do, focus on tucking your tailbone under so that the legs are really doing the work here. Take a long breath in, and as you breathe out, we'll come all the way back up to a standing position. Take a moment, take a breath. We're going to do that again. Okay, let's go for the second time. So as you breathe in, hands come up. As you breathe out, hips go backwards and down. Keep the breathing nice and smooth. It's a very warming pose, this one. Really gets the body working, although it doesn't necessarily look like very much. Keep your breathing smooth. We'll stay here for a few more moments. Remember to keep your tailbone tucked under. Remember, if you feel the need to come out of the pose, always do so. Okay, take a breath in. As you breathe out, coming all the way back up again. Take a moment here, take a breath. Shake out if you feel the need to at all. We'll go one more time. Breathing in, arms up. Breathing out, lowering down, tucking the tailbone under, and staying there for a few more moments. Really pressing the feet into the floor, feeling that stretch through the legs, through the calves, and quads working a little bit hard here as well. Okay, breath in. As you breathe out, coming back up, letting the hands drop down. The next pose we'll be doing requires us to lie down on the mat. So bring your hips to the middle of the mat and we'll lie down together. Lying all the way down, bring your heels of your feet to underneath the knees, or as close to underneath as is possible for you. Turn the palms of the hands downwards, really tuck the elbows into the sides of the body. Let your head rest down. The pose that we'll be doing is called bridge pose. So again, always take your time, go with what's comfortable for you, and everyone might have a slightly different range of motion. That's totally fine. As you're breathing in, tuck your tailbone under so your hips are coming up just a little. The lower back is pressing down into the mat underneath you, and then lift the hips just slightly. Now, if you can get all the way up to a straight position, that's awesome. If you're significantly lower than that, that's totally fine as well. Breathe out, lower all the way back down. Breathing in, turn the tailbone up, reaching high. And then as you breathe out, lower down. Remember, as we've already said, go with what's comfortable for you. If that's just a little bit off the floor, perfectly fine. We can always build up to the full extension of the pose. We certainly don't need to be there today. Breathing in, as you lift, press the feet into the floor. You can press the hands into the floor as well to give you some extra traction. Lowering gently back down. Breathing in as you lift, always. And breathing out as you lower. You can go as fast or as slow as works for you and your breathing pattern during this pose. Reaching high with the hips, really pressing through the glutes and allowing yourselves to roll back towards the floor. We'll do just a few more before we move on. Okay, when you finish your next sequence, just rest down there for a moment. We'll actually take a short break and come back and continue on the session in just a moment. Welcome back to Move It or Lose It. We'll continue on with our gentle yoga session now. If you're not lying down already, that's where we need to be. So let's come to a lying down position on our mats. Take a moment to make sure you feel really comfortable. Sometimes you need to lift your hips and place them back down on the mat. We're going to do a bit of a hip stretch now. So bring your feet together as close to your hips as is comfortable for you. Bring the bottoms of your feet together. Let your legs and your knees drop out to either side to whatever point is comfortable for you. You might want to turn the palms of your hands upwards for this pose. And really allow the gravity to just draw the knees down towards the outside of the body. We'll focus on the length of our breath now. So long, even breaths. Really thinking about taking the breath all the way down to the lower abdominal area. It's easy to hold on to tension in the hips and to inadvertently be holding the hips really tight. So really focus here on letting the legs drop down to whatever point is comfortable. Your legs might be higher than mine, they might be lower, all perfectly fine. Adjust if you're not comfortable, and we'll just stay here for a few more breaths. The discipline with poses like this is to just be able to be still, to be here, to allow the muscles the time and the space to really stretch out. Okay. Very gently, let's bring both of the knees back up towards the center of the body. So now we'll do a very short meditation just to finish off this session. Take a moment to press your heels away from the body and then press your toes away from the body. We'll just do that once more each, heels pressing away, and then the toes pressing away. Now relax the feet, allow them to drop down towards the outside of the body. Leave the palms of your hands facing upwards towards the sky. Allow your eyes to close. Allow your whole body to soften into the mat underneath you. We'll be here for a few moments. Our focus is really on two things. First of all, really allowing yourself to be soft, the muscles to relax, everything to just sink into the ground. and also to be focusing on the breath as it moves through the body, lengthening each breath that you take. Again, focusing on the air moving all the way down to the lower abdominals, allowing the whole top half of your body to fill up with air every time you breathe in. Every breath out allows you to let go of any tension, allows your muscles to rest and relax a little bit further. Listening and watching as the breath flows in and out of the body. We'll stay here for just a few more breaths, really allowing yourselves to be still. Let's begin now to come back to where we are physically. Just begin very gently by wiggling your fingers and then also your toes. Take a few big breaths into the upper chest. And stretch out if you need to, letting yourselves really wake up. When you feel ready, lift your knees, roll over onto your side, and press yourselves back up to a seated position. It's always a good idea just to stay for a few moments on your yoga mat. Allow yourselves to gently wake up and come back. Extra water is always a good idea after practicing yoga. Thanks very much for joining us for this session. We'll see you next time.